So what makes an ad actually work? I'm not talking about just looking pretty or being clever. I mean, what makes it genuinely sell something? Well, back in 1961, this legendary ad man, Rosser Reeves, he claimed he'd cracked the code in his book, Reality in Advertising. And you know what? Its lessons are just as brutally effective today as they were back then.
I mean, this quote right here, this is the billion-dollar question that has just haunted businesses for, well, forever. It just perfectly captures that nagging uncertainty of advertising, right? You're spending a fortune, pouring all this money in, but what are you actually getting for it? For most people, it's a complete and total mystery.
But then Rosser Reeves steps onto the scene, and he claims he has the answer. He was absolutely convinced he knew which half of that money was going down the drain, and, way more importantly, which half was working and why it was working. So yeah, let's dive in and unpack his pretty groundbreaking ideas.
Okay, so before we can get to his big solution, we really have to get our heads around the problem. And for Reeves, the biggest problem wasn't just the wasted money, it was the way people were thinking about the mystery in the first place.
Right off the bat, Reeves just takes a sledgehammer to this huge assumption that he called the common fallacy, and that's the idea of judging an ad campaign on sales figures alone. So why is that a fallacy? Well, think about it. Sales are affected by dozens of other things. The price could be wrong, the product itself might be off, maybe your distribution is terrible. Advertising, he said, is just one of over 37 different factors. It's just one little spoke in a massive wheel.
Okay, so if sales figures are a bust, if they can't give us the real answer, then what can? This is where Reeves got really brilliant. He came up with this revolutionary method to completely isolate and measure the true power of an ad, totally separate from all that other noise.
So here's the core idea. It's called the two rooms test, and it's genius. Just imagine the entire population is divided into two separate rooms. In one room, you've got everybody who has absolutely no memory of your current ad campaign. They can't tell you a thing about it. Then in the second room, you have everyone who can prove they know your ad because they can tell you what it says.
All right, now, let's say you walk into that first room, the one with all the people who don't remember your ad. You do a survey and you find out that 5% of them are using your product. Okay, so that's your baseline. These are your customers who bought your product for any reason other than your current ad.
But then you walk into that second room, the room with people who do remember your ad. And holy cow, in here, a whopping 25% are using your product. That difference, that jump from 5% to 25%, that right there is the pure, unadulterated power of your advertising. Nothing else.
Reeves gave this a name, of course. He called this first key metric penetration. It's super simple. It's just the percentage of people who can actually remember and describe your current ad campaign. It's all about how well your message is getting into people's minds.
And then there's the second, and honestly the more crucial metric. He called this usage pull. This is what measures the ad's real persuasive power. It's that 20-point gap we just saw. It answers the question, how many extra customers were pulled over to your product by the advertising alone? That, for Reeves, is the true measure of a successful ad.
Okay, so we know how to measure an ad's impact now. That's a huge step. But what's the secret sauce? What's the ingredient that actually makes an ad achieve that high penetration and, more importantly, that high usage pull?
Well, the answer is probably the most famous concept to ever come out of this book, the unique selling proposition. You've probably heard of it, the U.S.P. And let me be clear, this isn't just about a clever slogan or a catchy jingle. It's a really rigorous theory about what a message absolutely must contain to have real, hard-hitting selling power.
And according to Reeves, a true U.S.P. has 3, let's call them strict, non-negotiable rules. Okay, rule 1. It has to make a specific proposition. It's got to say, buy this product and you will get this specific benefit. No vague, fluffy stuff. Rule 2. It has to be unique. The competition either cannot or does not offer this same thing. And rule 3, it has to have selling power. The claim has to be so strong that it can literally move the mass millions to your product.
So you can see how this approach, this, science of the hard sell, was just the complete opposite of what Reeves saw happening all around him. He thought the biggest waste of money in the entire industry was advertising that was all style, all flash, and zero substance.
Basically, he saw two competing philosophies in the ad world. On the one hand, you have the U.S.P. This is the philosophy of making a claim. It's built to persuade, to sell.
But on the other hand, you have what he called show window advertising. And this is the philosophy of creating a feeling. It's all about fancy art, cool style, and what he called puffery. Just vague, empty praise. It just kind of puts the merchandise on display and hopes you like it, but there's no real selling argument there.
So what does a great USP actually look like in the wild? Well, here's an absolute classic from Lifebuoy soap. Stops BO. That's it. Think about it. It's a super specific benefit, stopping body odor. Back in the day, it was a unique claim. And man, was it powerful enough to build a massive brand for decades. It's definitely not poetry, but you know what? It sells.
Okay, but here's a good question. What if your product is basically the same as everyone else's? Well, check this out. A famous cigarette campaign had the U.S.P, "It's toasted." Now, here's the kicker. Every company's cigarettes were toasted. It was just part of the process. But they were the first ones to claim it. They preempted it. And by doing that, they own that idea in the consumer's mind.
So wrapping things up, all of this research and all of these ideas led Reeves to come up with a set of, well, timeless laws for making ads that actually work. And these principles are just as powerful today as they were back in the 60s.
Let me give you 3 of the big ones. First up, what he called the multi-million-dollar error. This is when companies change their ad campaign constantly. Look, it takes a ton of time and money to build up that penetration we talked about. Changing your message is literally like hitting the reset button and starting from 0 every single time. Second, the advertising burning glass. The idea here is that a consumer is only going to remember one strong claim from your ad. That's it. So you have to focus all your energy like a magnifying glass on that single powerful point. And finally, no more room in the box. Think of a consumer's mind like a little box with finite space. A really strong USP doesn't just get your message into that box, it can actually be strong enough to push your competitor's message right out.
So here's a little homework for you. The very next ad you see on TV, online, wherever, ask yourself, what is its unique selling proposition? Is it actually making a specific, unique, and powerful claim? Or is it just, pretty window dressing? I think you're going to be surprised by how few of them have a real answer to that question.